The year 1796, the place northern Italy. A young general named Napoleon Bonaparte was on the rise as La Campagne d'Italie raged on. As we prepare to delve into the details of one of Napoleon's most famous battles, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Napoleon Bonaparte, a young and audacious general, had been appointed the commander of the French army in Italy earlier in the year of 1796 and had already begun to distinguish himself. With an iron will and a strategic mind far beyond his years, he was tasked with the formidable challenge of driving the Austrian forces out of Italy. After a resounding victory at Montenotte and a disastrous defeat at the Second Battle of Digo, Napoleon was preparing for another major engagement. To the north, nestled in the Lombardy region, lay the town of Lodi. Lodi was a strategic prize for any army. It boasted a sturdy bridge that spanned the Adda River, a natural barrier that separated the French and Austrian forces. Control of this bridge would not only provide a crucial passage over the river, but also a significant advantage in the ongoing war. Napoleon, with his keen military intellect, recognized this. He saw that taking Lodi was more than just another battle. It was a statement, a demonstration of France's determination to spread the revolutionary ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. As the French army marched towards Lodi, the Austrian forces braced themselves for battle. They knew the importance of the bridge and were prepared to defend it with their lives. The stage was set, the stakes were high, and the players were ready. A blanket of tension draped over northern Italy as the opposing forces drew closer. The air was heavy with anticipation, the silence before the storm. It was clear that a confrontation was on the horizon, a confrontation that would shape the future of Europe. As Napoleon's army approached Lodi, a confrontation became inevitable. On May 10th, 1796, the Battle of Lodi commenced. As the sun rose over the northern Italian town of Lodi, the Austrian army, under the command of Johann Peter Beaulieu, prepared to defend the strategic Adda River Bridge. Their mission was clear: hold the bridge and prevent the French forces, led by a young and ambitious Napoleon Bonaparte, from crossing. The Austrians, perched on the opposite bank, had fortified their position, ready to repel any French assault. The French, despite their fervor, were met with a hailstorm of Austrian firepower. Their initial attempts to cross the bridge were met with fierce resistance. The Austrians, using the advantage of their well-defended position, rained down a relentless barrage of musket fire and cannonballs. The bridge, once a simple crossing, was transformed into a killing field. The French casualties mounted rapidly. The sight of the fallen French soldiers, their uniforms stained with the red of their sacrifice, might have broken a lesser commander. But Napoleon Bonaparte was no ordinary leader. He was a man of resolve, a man who saw setbacks not as defeats but as challenges to overcome. Napoleon, undeterred by the initial setbacks, observed the battle from a safe distance. His eyes narrowed in determination. His mind was a whirlwind of strategy and tactics, evaluating and re-evaluating each move, each decision. His gaze was fixed on the bridge, the crucial point that had to be won. The French, though battered and weary, remained resolute. They trusted in their leader, drawing strength from his unwavering resolve. They knew that the road to victory would be paved with hardship, but they were prepared to pay the price. But Napoleon, undeterred by the initial setbacks, was determined to cross the bridge. Napoleon rallied his troops, instilling in them a newfound courage. The young general, barely 26 years old, was about to make a move that would change the course of the battle and indeed the course of history. Despite the relentless barrage of Austrian fire, Napoleon and his men pushed forward. The bridge at Lodi became a theatre of war, a narrow stage where the destiny of nations was decided. The French soldiers, inspired by the audacity of their leader, braved the storm of bullets and cannon fire, their goal to cross the bridge and break the Austrian line. The Austrians, entrenched in their defensive positions, unleashed a volley of musket fire and cannonballs. Yet the French continued to advance, their spirits unbroken, their resolve unshaken. They moved as one, a blue tide of bravery and determination sweeping across the bridge. And then, in a move that would forever be etched in the annals of military history, Napoleon himself led the charge. The young Corsican, who would later be known as the Emperor of the French, led his men in a decisive push. With a sword in one hand and a resolve as strong as steel in the other, Napoleon charged forward. His courage ignited a spark in the hearts of his men, turning the tide of the battle. The Austrian defense crumbled under the relentless French onslaught. Their once formidable line broke, and the soldiers began to retreat. Napoleon's charge had not just broken the Austrian line, it had shattered their morale. The once fierce defenders of the bridge were now fleeing, their spirits crushed by the indomitable French force. The bridge at Lodi was finally in French hands. The Austrians had retreated, their defense broken and their spirits shattered. Napoleon's audacious charge had turned the tide of the battle, securing a critical victory for the French. With the bridge secured, the path was now open for the French to march into Lombardy. Napoleon's victory at Lodi was not just a military triumph, it was a turning point in his career, a moment that would forever define him as one of history's greatest military tacticians. The Battle of Lodi was more than just a military victory for the French, it was a turning point in the life of a young general, a moment that would shape the course of history and elevate him to the status of a legend, Napoleon Bonaparte. The triumph at Lodi wasn't just about the strategic outmaneuvering of the Austrians, it was about the birth of a leader. Napoleon's audacious decision to lead the charge across the bridge at Lodi under heavy enemy fire was a demonstration of courage and determination that won him the respect and loyalty of his men. This was the moment when the soldiers started to see him not just as a commander, but as a leader who would lead them to glory. But the Battle of Lodi was also a stepping stone in Napoleon's rise to power. The victory marked the beginning of an aggressive and successful campaign that would consolidate French control over northern Italy. It showcased Napoleon's ability to win battles and wars, not just through brute force, but through tactical ingenuity and strategic insight. His success in Italy burnished his reputation back in France, setting him on the path to political power. The battle also had a profound influence on the course of the French Revolutionary Wars. The defeat of the Austrians at Lodi served as a blow to the confidence of the coalition forces. It marked a shift in momentum in favor of the French, setting the stage for further victories in the Italian campaign. But perhaps the greatest significance of the Battle of Lodi lies in its impact on Napoleon himself. The victory bolstered his self-belief, fueling his ambition and strengthening his resolve. It was here that Napoleon began to see himself not just as a general, but as a potential ruler. Lodi was the crucible in which the legend of Napoleon was forged. The Battle of Lodi, while a relatively small engagement in the grand scope of the French Revolutionary Wars, proved pivotal in the career of one of history's most renowned figures, Napoleon Bonaparte. Today we journeyed back to 1796 to the town of Lodi in northern Italy. We explored the context of the Battle of Lodi, how a young Napoleon Bonaparte turned a seemingly dire situation into a decisive victory. We delved into the events of the battle, painting a vivid picture of the strategic genius that marked the rise of Napoleon's illustrious career. In the grand tapestry of history, the Battle of Lodi is but a single thread. Yet it is a thread that helped shape the pattern of Europe for years to come. Next up in the La Campagne d'Italie series, we will explore Napoleon's siege of Mantua. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and are eager for more historical journeys. If you are, then do not miss this opportunity to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode and will be alerted when the next episode of this series drops. We are the Minutemen of History.